Good morning, and good morning. Or I guess good afternoon. It's good to be here with you all this morning. My second service today. It's good to be in Chesapeake, Virginia. It's my second time here in about 2 or 3 months. I am not a preacher. But I'm told so many times, I'm asked so many times, are you a preacher? So I got a word for you this morning. But first I want to say, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. I bring you greetings this morning from Jersey City, New Jersey. Corinthian Baptist Church, where the Reverend Damon Gilliard is my pastor. I travel this country speaking to a lot of folks, primarily educators. And when I speak to educators, I'm speaking about education, particularly as it relates to connecting with African-American children, black boys. But when I'm in that environment, which is frequent, I don't have an opportunity to talk about God, because in most cases, it's just not permissible. But I'm in the house of the Lord this morning. So I want to ask you, can I talk about God a little bit today? I feel very at home up here because I'm here because of God. I sat here thinking to myself, why am I here? Is Dr. Hoyle here by chance? She's not here today. She was here first time and I didn't even realize it. But as she heard me speak somewhere, and next thing I knew, I wound up here in February behind this desk. And then next thing I knew, I wound up here again on June 10th for the second time on this Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. But I want to talk about God as it relates to us young men, but all of us in general. And I want to start off with a scripture, very short one, from 2 Peter, first chapter, verse 10. And it reads as such. Therefore, brothers, be all the more diligent to confirm your calling and election. For if you practice these qualities, you will never fail. If I may use for a topic, particularly to my brethren, we have work to do. Please bow your heads. Father God, I thank you for this opportunity to speak before these saints once again. We come here this morning to worship you. We come here this morning to say thank you. We come here this morning to celebrate these men who are on a journey, these men who are so much needed to lead our young people, particularly our young men. I ask you, Father God, this morning to bless all these men. Bless this entire sanctuary. Give me a word this morning, Father, that I may touch at least one. I ask you to bless the pastor, the shepherd of this house, that he can continue to do the mighty works that he's doing, that he continues to have the support of his spouse and this entire church. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You know, the past 2 weeks, the NBA playoffs have been on literally every night. We got any basketball fans in the house? I want to make sure that I'm in the right place. I'm a basketball junkie. I haven't seen much of my wife for the past 2 weeks because they set this schedule up whereas there was a game every night until this past Friday. But watching the games, I'm not a Heat fan. I'm not a LeBron fan. I've been praying for him to lose. Because I never forgave him for the decision. Somebody said, let it go. So I never forgave him, however. And I'm watching the games, and for those of you who have been watching, and I need to preface this, as I said to the men yesterday, I'm an educator. And everything that comes my way, I receive it through the lens of an educator. That's how I see life. So when I'm watching a basketball game, I'm not watching it just as a man, but I'm watching it as an educator. So I'm watching these games, and I'm watching Game 5, the Heat and the Celtics. And in Game 5, it was in Miami. Miami was supposed to win that game, but it didn't happen. And it turned out to be a blowout. So at the end of the game, I'm watching the commentary, Magic Johnson and others, and I found it striking that in watching them, they became somewhat biased. And all four of the commentators were angry, and they began to beat up on LeBron. And they said, Magic in particular, he said, LeBron, you've got to dig deeper. Because, see, we all know the greatness of LeBron as a basketball player. And he was supposed to go into his own house and win Game 5. And Magic got mad. He looked straight into the camera and he said, you got to dig deeper. And I'm listening to this through the lens of an educator. And I say to the men in the room today, as we move forward, we too have to dig deeper. Because, see, we're losing a lot of these young men, these younger men. Only 47% of them graduate from high school across the country. So I say to us this morning, I don't mean just the men, but being that it's Men's Day, we've got to dig deeper. But then the next night, the Western Conference finals were on. But those commentators, Charles Barkley, Shaq, and others, they began to talk about Game 5. And Charles Barkley said, where's the camera that's on me? And they pointed it out. He looked straight into the camera and he said, LeBron, you must carry this team on your back. Carry the team on your back. I'm saying to the men in this room, we must carry this work on our backs. So then the game was played. And LeBron went into a zone, as you remember. And he didn't know what was going on around him, if you remember. And he scored 45 points in that game. He dug deeper. He carried the team on his back. And that victory was guaranteed. I'm saying to us, when we dig deep, brothers, when we put this struggle on our back, when we put it on our shoulder, when we put these young men right here, I'm saying that we turn this thing around tomorrow. I'm saying that victory is ours when we do our part. But see, we can't just talk about it. We got to be about it. We got to live this struggle 24/7. And see, I'm sitting there in the second service, and I'm just kind of running the DVD of my own journey. Because as I told the men yesterday, I didn't say it to the first service, but I say to you because I'm very transparent. See, as a high school student, as a teenager, in fact, are there any teenagers in this sanctuary this morning? If you are, just raise your hand. Any teenagers in here? All right. Because I'm going to be calling on a couple of you in a minute. And I'm thinking about high school as this young black man. And I'm thinking about my own grade point average, which was a 1 something. About a 1.3. I don't know how I graduated. A 1 something. That means just a tad over F. Then I'm thinking about that SAT, I got to be careful with them cameras running, right? I got a 200, y'all. That's what you get when you put your name on the answer sheet. I was so happy with my 200. I got a 200 because I spelled my name correctly. Then went on, tried to get through high school, and got to the last day. Hear me, because we're going to tie this right into what we got to do. And the guidance counselor called me down on the last day before graduation, said, come on down, young man, I got to talk to you. And I sat down, and he got passionate on me. And he started pointing at me. And he said, young man, you will never amount to anything. Somebody said, woo. And I was too far gone to be able to appreciate the magnitude of the insult. So I took it. I accepted it and moved on. Went on and graduated. But then still didn't have it together for many years. And then finally, in '84, I got myself together, but I didn't do it by myself. See, in the secular world, I thought it was because I exposed myself to certain readings. But in the spiritual realm, I found out that God wanted me to go through something. See, I didn't know he was going to use me. And see, with us in here, I'm talking to all of us, but I got my focus on the brothers. See, God, as you know, and there might be one in here that doesn't know, he uses us. But we don't realize that he uses us when we have no relationship with him. So when Brother Pratt was up here dancing, I felt like getting up here with him. But I said, man, them cameras running, this thing might wind up on YouTube. And see, he a Jersey guy too. So when he started talking about the clubs, we probably was swinging in the same club in Newark. But see, I didn't know that he was working on me because I had no relationship with him. But once that relationship formed, oh man, I went on fire. I started flaming. See, but we have to make sure that we have that same relationship. He got to be the foundation. He got to be the guide. He got to be the director of what we do. So we do nothing without approval from him first. I had to ask him a few things when I was sitting here, because what I'm saying to you now wasn't in this morning's message. See, Pastor was telling me it's a different group, so you all right, don't worry about it. They ain't hear you. But God just laid something different on me this afternoon. So see, that relationship is key. Because when we have that relationship, it enables us to stand up a little bit differently. See, it allows us to hold our heads up very high. It allows us to stick our chest out and be proud. And it allows us to step out into the world and do the work which is necessary and do the work which is required in order to effectuate the kind of change that we need to effectuate. But see, on the other side, when we don't have that relationship with God, when we don't know him, when we don't understand him, when we can't perceive the signs that are right there clearly in front of us, then we wind up kind of moving in the wrong direction. He wants you to move this way, and here you go moving this way. See, some of us, I talk so much about connecting with these young boys, but quite frankly, so many of us are afraid of these young boys. See, we scared of them, and we won't say things to them that they need to hear for fear of what might happen. Now, I keep thinking about this morning's message. I'm way out of sequence. Those have heard, I got to do this differently. One of them, all those teenagers that had your hand up, make your way down here quickly, please. The males, just make your way down here quickly. And as they come, folks, hand them a Bible. Just give them a Bible. I need them to have a Bible in their hand. Line up right here for me, gentlemen. Just put a Bible in their hands for me. I got to show you something. They said brother was older than I thought. You come on anyway. I thought brother was like 18. They say, no, he's 26. That's all right. Come on down this way right here so everybody can see. We get you on camera too. Come on here. I got to show y'all something. Slide down a little bit more, just a little bit more. No. See, I get people, they say to me, you got to be careful with these young men. Not these young men, but out in the street. I'm sitting right here yesterday, and a young man said to me, he said, you got to be careful with these young men because some of them got guns and all that kind of stuff. I ain't worried about that. I ain't worried about that. Because, see, I asked that we arm them right now. See, I said, arm them with a Bible. See, there is another, oh, come on. See, if there's some more in here, just come on down. See, take a look at these young men, folks. Just look. I want you guys, if you could just hold your head up and look straight out. Just get that camera. I want that camera to get your faces, right? Just look at them for a second. Ain't no stereotypes in here. Not this morning. All right, take a look at them. No stereotypes in here. These are real young men. Notice their faces. Notice how serious they look. Notice how powerful they look. Notice how bad they look. Bad meaning good. Notice how handsome they look. See, notice in their hands, they're armed with a weapon that's more potent than any gun. But see, too many of us, we don't put weapons in their hands. So because they don't have the weapon, then too many of our young men wind up obtaining a different weapon out in the street. But see, that's where myself and these other men, and that's not to discount the importance of women, but it's Men's Day. And that's where myself and these other men come in. Because we have to make sure that they understand that knowledge is power. Not a gun. Information is power. And if we arm them with the information, if we arm them with the word of God, can't nothing stop them. I remember I used to do all these graduations as the guest speaker saying, and you can even become the president of the United States. But here's the thing. This was prior to 2008. So in the back of my mind, I'm saying, Principal Kafelle, you lying to these people. But then something funny happened in 2008. And now we could look them straight in the eye. And we could tell them if the presidency is what you want, it's yours. But we have to tell them. We got to arm them with the information. Now, the ones of you who were here this morning, you know what I'm getting ready to do, and I can't do it with this many. So here's what I want to do. Let me take someone I didn't have. Let me take you, and you. Just step up right here for me. Got 3 young men. Now, all the men on the front pews, just stand behind them for me. See, we losing these young men, folks. We losing them. So if we're not going to lose them, then they've got to have men, not males. See, there's a distinction between a male and a man. See, because you're 18, that don't make you no man. Because you're 21, that doesn't make you a man. Because you're 45, that doesn't make you a man. We got some people, not this church, but the church like way down the highway. You got some wives sitting in church right now, sitting next to some boys that they married to. See, they boys trapped in men's bodies. You got to earn the right to call yourself a man. There's certain criteria. So boys need men that have their back. So now you look at these three young men here. Look behind them. See, they got men behind them, see. So now they got nothing to worry about because these men have their back. But here's the problem. These young men are younger than these young men. So now if they get distracted, see, they can just run. And the young men behind them might not be able to catch them because they're a little older. So, but we can rectify that because now if the brothers behind you can form a circle around these three and lock arms. Now, to the three brothers inside, come on out that circle. Break out. See, they can't break out. The only way they get out is when the men say, we feel you're ready to come out. Everybody wants to know, what's the answer? How do we solve the problem? How do we keep black boys from joining gangs? How do we keep black boys from making bad decisions? How do we keep black boys interested in school? There it is, okay? That's the answer right there, okay? Put a wall of men around them. Men step up to the plate, form the wall around them. We resolve this today. Crisis over. Give them a big round of applause. And the brothers in the back here, give them a big round of applause as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, brothers. I'm not going to be too long. So, in order for us to get to that point where we put that wall around these teenagers and even younger young men, we have to have a purpose for our lives. See, we got to be rooted in something. So when we ask the question, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What is your role? What is your responsibility as it relates to society? We got to have answers. See, when we go to the dictionary, you see all these words, and every word has a definition. Well, see, for us, we too must have a definition. And that definition defines us. It tells what our purpose is for our lives. So we must be purpose-driven in all that we do. But then within that mission, that purpose, we've got to be mission-oriented. See, it's not about just moving through life, but it's being on a mission. You can't stop a person on a mission. See, someone on their job, all you got to do is put up your hand and say, stop. And they just stop cold. But someone on a mission, you can't stop them. They like a tornado just churning, going through. You can't stop them. Nothing will stop them. They won't stop until the mission is accomplished. So if we're going to save these boys, our men have to be mission-oriented. We got to be on a mission. We've got to have a non-stop attitude. And we just keep on going until we see the victory. But then within that mission is the vision. See, we have to already see it. We don't work toward achieving it without seeing it first before we take the first step. And as we see the success, now we know what it is we must do and we know how we're going to get it done. And then we set goals and we devise a plan of action and we follow that plan at all times. But then inherent in that, there's God right in the midst. See, but again, if the relationship is not there, and I had some experiences that told me there's God. Let me tell you something. You keep hearing me being referred to as Principal Kafelle. And quite frankly, I'm no longer a principal. But I took that title, principal, and I adopted it as my first name. So my name is Principal Kafelle, and that's how I'm living my life 24/7. So God said to me, and this is literal, God said to me, I got to expand your territory. He said to me, I've had you running schools for 14 years, but you're just inside one school. I got to remove the walls. I got to put you out here in the world. And as I'm receiving this, I'm questioning. I'm saying, but God, wait a minute. I got 2 boys in college. They're reliant upon me to pay tuition. I got a home with a mortgage. I got a wife and a daughter. How am I going to support my family if I don't have a job, if I don't have employment? And because of the relationship, God said, I got your back. So then I questioned it. I said, but how do I know that this is not me? How do I know this is you? Because see, sometimes there are things we want to do and it's us instead of him. And see, if it was just me, I don't know if I could do this. I had to find out, I needed confirmation that it's God. Watch this. There were 3 places that I always wanted to visit. Always. See, because as these men in back of me, in front of me, get these young men ready, one of the things that we must do, we must be readers. See, we got to read, and read. Then we reinforce that reading with even more reading. We let our children see us reading. We encourage them to read. Because, see, ultimately our children become our representatives. I tell my sons all the time, look, I don't know what you do when you go outside. I know what I gave you. I know what I anticipate and expect, but quite frankly, I'm not there to see. But I remind them, but when you do walk out this house, you are my representative, see. Are these teenagers being given the same message? Do they understand that when they walk outside the house, they represent their Father? It's just like a church. Got the pastor here, but you got the flock that's representing the pastor, representing God. See, so there's a certain way that we just can't behave when we go outside. Because then they know you go to First Baptist Church, South Hill, how you acting when you're not inside here. So when my sons go out, how you acting? What you looking like? You ever seen a teenage party, folks? You ever seen one? If you didn't see one, let me show you. I know this video's running, but I got to show you something. Teenagers go out and party. You never seen a teenage party before? It's real simple. You got the girls, right? They dance like this here. No, that's not all of them, but it's a whole lot. See, I've been a principal for a long time. I see it. I get to see this thing. So, and then you got the young man. Let me show you how he dances. Now, I had to remind my son, you can't rep me like that. You can't rep me like that. I'm at a party, a teenage party one night at a school. The girl was dancing so hard her veins were popping out. I said to one of the other principal at the school, because it was at his school, wasn't my school, I would have had to stop that mess. I said, look at that girl, man. Her veins popping out. And look at the boy. I said, you need to stop that. This is crazy. But once again, that representative. So now getting back. So I had to make sure it wasn't just me. So we're reading. And as I'm reading, I say that we got to learn our story. Because as long as these boys, as long as our young ladies don't know the story, as long as they look in the mirror, they don't recognize who that is looking back beyond the name on the birth certificate, then we're doomed. Look at young men making all these bad decisions because they don't know who they are. I look at these young ladies, these young teenagers, jumping through hoops, trying to be beautiful, not realizing they already beautiful. So now because someone else has defined beauty for them, now they jumping through hoops to look nice, to look attractive. I come across young ladies all the time who are dark complexion. And they come to me, Ms. Kafelle, I don't feel I look good. I don't feel beautiful. And I understand where that's coming from. And a lot of times it's coming from us as young men. Because we have got caught up into these foreign definitions of what beauty is. So we have to therefore help them to define it from the standpoint of who and what we are. So we got to read so that we know the answer of who am I? So in reading, I discovered these 3 cities that I heard of, but I didn't really know enough about them. One was called Birmingham. The other one was called Selma. And the other one was called Montgomery. And as I read about these 3 fabled cities, when I became a speaker years ago, I said, man, I just want to get invited to those 3 cities. I had been speaking in all these places that folks want to go, Las Vegas and Los Angeles and St. Thomas and St. Martin and all these other fancy places, but no one called me from those 3 cities. So then finally, I get a phone call. Make a long story short, let me just go right to the Birmingham call. I get a call recently, Principal Kafelle. Matter of fact, when I say recent, I say within 2 months. We want you to come down and train the teachers at this particular high school and middle school. I'm thinking to myself, Birmingham? So I said, yo, yeah, I'm ready. I'm getting ready to say to the guy, you only have to pay me on this one, right? I'm so excited. And then, I caught myself. So we got the contract together, and I flew on down there. But right after I finished doing my presentations, folks, I said to the principal, I'm going downtown. I said, I got to go to Kelly Ingram Park. I said, I got to go to 16th Street Baptist Church. See, I had been there before, but I wasn't there as a speaker. I was there as a tourist. See, I'm down there to speak, and now I'm going to that church. So right after I finished speaking, I went down to that church, and I stood in front of that church for a long time. And I thought about those 4 little girls. And then I'm thinking about us. And I'm thinking about the thousands upon thousands of our children that never heard of the 4 little girls. Why didn't they hear of them? Well, someone might say, because the school never taught them. I say, I ain't accepting that. Because the first teacher is the parent. And then I went over across the street to Kelly Ingram Park, where those 2,000 marchers had been attacked while Dr. King was in jail when he wrote the letter from Birmingham jail. And I just walked around that park over and over, just kept walking around the park. And I was receiving confirmation from God that the work I'm doing is the right work. See, we got to seek that confirmation. See, I refuse. I cannot sit back any longer and watch these boys. The leading cause of death of black males is homicide, murder by another black male. Not heart disease, not diabetes, not AIDS, but murder by another black male. See, I can't stand by watching that. I got to do my part. We have got to do our part. And see, when we do our part, we change that. So then I went to Selma. And see, when we talk about Barack Obama, President of the United States, you can't talk President Obama without talking the Edmund Pettus Bridge. You just can't do it. Now, supposing there was someone in this sanctuary who said to yourself, what is he talking about? What is the Edmund Pettus Bridge? Then that means that you too are a victim of miseducation. See, a victim of miseducation, as I was and most of us were. Because when Carter G. Woodson wrote the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, he said when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or over yonder. He will find his quote-unquote proper place, and he will stay in it. You do not need to send him to the back door. He will go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he'll cut one for his special benefit. His education makes it necessary. See, in other words, he said in 1933 that we're not even teaching these children how to think for themselves. And as long as their thinking is controlled by outside and external forces, then they'll never pose a threat to anybody. So when we talk about Selma, you can't talk Barack Obama without talking Selma. Because those 600 marchers that walked across that Edmund Pettus Bridge, led by John Lewis and Hosea Williams, made it possible for Barack Obama to be president of the United States. And had they not made that march, I feel confident that we would not have known that that man was even born. Because that day became known as Bloody Sunday on March 7, 1965. But over a period of time, they made it on to Montgomery, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was passed. So I'm saying to us, those boys, they got to learn it. They got to learn it from us. They got to learn their story. But there's so many other things they got to learn. Why do we expect a young man to evolve into a young man committed to one woman if he's not seeing that in his household? Now, I'm not stepping on no toes on this, but you know, you guys invited me, and I just got to keep it real for a second. See, I used to play basketball. I was a little thinner, you know. I used to do my thing. And I was good because I had models to emulate. See, I watched Magic. I watched Kareem. I watched Frazier. I watched so many others when I was coming up in the 70s and 80s. But now let's look at these young men. Why do I expect you to become this committed husband if I can't even conceive of what that looks like? 70% of black children are born into a household where there's no father present. So if you expect me to be a husband, well, first I got to see husbands in action. I got to see what that looks like. When the husband gets into an argument with his wife, what does he do? Does he leave? When he gets in an argument with his wife, does he hit her? When he gets in an argument with his wife, does he refer to her as the B word? See, what does he do when there's conflict? Well, if I'm not seeing that, then why do you expect me to have the answer? See, I got to see it. So my children are blessed that they've gotten to see my wife and I for their entire lives. Now, that's no bragging nor boasting, but I got to give them a model. And as serious as I am up here in this pulpit, I don't have to be this way in my living room. But see, so many of our boys think that they got to be hard and tough and cold 24/7 and not realize that real men cry. They have to see that a man can be very playful. A man can joke around at home. A man can let his guard down. A man doesn't have to be callous. But then when we go outside, then we put on the armor because we know we're going to fight some battles. So I'm saying to us, as we use the analogy here, we got to keep them tucked under. And we've got to school them. We've got to teach them. We've got to educate them. Because if they don't get that education from us, there's a guy with a bandana outside that'll give it to them for you. He loves to educate them. So we do it ourselves first. So the relationship is key. But then being a father, and we talked at length about this yesterday in our forum, but a man has to be a father to his child. See, we keep talking about the sons, but let's look at the daughter. How's the daughter going to distinguish a real man from a fraud if all she sees is frauds? See, if the boy with the pants falling down, he's cute. So now she said he's cute. But that's what she sees. Where's the balance? So that now she sees the other young man with his pants up to his waist. So now when she sees that in her home, and father says to her, and he practices for her, that I am the standard of a man, then she doesn't become confused when she walks out into the street or when she walks into her school, that this young man is someone I want to hook up with. Because the question that she must ask herself is, does he measure up to my father? And my father is way up here. I tell men all the time, being a man is not easy. It's a hard job. It's like this aisle right here in front of me, very narrow. It's walking that narrow aisle every day. But see, sometimes we get distracted and here we are, we walking this way. Or sometimes we get distracted and here we are walking this way. But see, if we could just walk this Christian walk down this aisle and stay focused, keep the blinders on, and just stay focused on the prize at the end of the aisle, then we increase the probability that these young men are going to be all right and our young daughters are going to be all right as well. God puts us through tests all the time. Sometimes life gets tough and we wonder, why me, God? Why is this happening to me? But when we have that relationship, we understand. You know, as an entrepreneur, first time never receiving a paycheck in my life, I was shocked around April when tax season came around. And I said, why me, God? All that money I owed. But I understood it. I understood it. And I understood some adjustments I need to make. But let me leave you with this. See, why me, God? Just everybody repeat after me. Passion. Let me hear you again. Passion. See, all of us, we've got to have something that we are passionate about. And then the question becomes, are you living your passion? See, I don't know about you, but whatever it is that I'm doing for a living, I want that to be my passion. If I go to a 9 to 5 and I'm miserable, that's a problem. See, I want my 9 to 5 to be my passion. See, men and women, when you can wake up in the morning to your passion every day, and you just walking your passion every day, and then you're preparing for it for the next day, and you just living that passion, then you're living a very good life. But see, how do we get there? Because there's someone either downstairs or upstairs. There's somebody that's stressed right now because at some point this morning, the thought of your place of employment entered your spirit, entered your mind. and you say, I got to go back to that place tomorrow. I hate it there. I'm not appreciated there. I don't like my supervisor. He's jealous of me. I make him look good. I do all his work, somebody might be thinking. I'm underpaid. My coworker's trying to do me in. But yet I got to go to this place every day. And then someone will say, well, Principal Kafelle, I got to go because I got bills I got to pay. I got a family. I got to make sure that I meet the needs of my family. So I got to keep going to this place. Well, Principal Kafelle is here this morning to say, you got to cut the umbilical cord. Because if that's not your passion, then you don't need to live it. See, I'm saying you got to devise a plan. And you got to come up with a time frame on when that plan is going to become your reality. So I'm saying to us as men, we got to instill that in these boys. I love waking up in the morning and looking in the mirror, and there's the boss looking back at me. But again, I don't say that to boast. I'm saying it as example. But it was a long journey to get to this point where I could be this national consultant. The journey started 20 years ago. Now I got young brothers and sisters come to me, Principal Kafelle, I want to do what you do. I want to write books. I want to speak. I want to do what you do. How'd you do it? I said, you really want to do what I do? You sure? Well, you got to start like this here. You willing to do that for 10 years? You got 10 years to do that first? Are you willing to crawl? So now we crawl, but we're working, and we keep working, and we got a plan, and we got a goal, and we live in our purpose, and we're in constant communion with God. See? So now, as I bring this thing home, told this morning, I'm going to tell it again. See, being a principal, that was my passion. My passion. Just getting the job was just so out of the ordinary. Most people look in the one ads. I didn't go to the one ads because I knew that wasn't the way to get it, because I knew if I was in the one ad, so were 1,000 other people trying to get the same job. So I said, I'm going right to the decision maker. I'm going to him, the superintendent. So I call him on the phone. Man by the name of Dr. Howard. Dr. Howard, secretary answers the phone. Hello? Yes, hello. My name is Baruti Kafelle. May I speak with the superintendent of the schools, please? She said, well, what do you want to speak to him about? I just want to talk to him about my future very quickly. She said, what? Yeah, I want to talk about my future. Sir, he don't have time to talk about your future. Goodbye. Click. That was on a Monday. I said, okay, I got this. No problem. I called back on Tuesday morning. Hello? This is Baruti Kafelle. I'd like to speak with Dr. Howard, please. Sir, I told you yesterday. He doesn't have time to talk about your future, but I just need a few minutes. He needs to know where I'm going, what I want to do. Sir, he doesn't have time. Goodbye. Click. All right, I got this. Wednesday morning, I pick up the phone. Hello? This is Baruti Kafelle. May I speak with Dr. Howard? Sir, she got a little bass in her voice. Sir, I told you, stop calling. I said, I just got to talk to him because I want to be a principal. He's got to know this. He don't have time. Bye. Okay, fine. Thursday morning, I get in my car, y'all. I drive up to the border area. I appear. She don't know what I look like. I appear. Hello, ma'am. She said, yes, sir. How may I help you? I'm Baruti Kafelle. Sir, I told you. He doesn't have time and he's not even here. I said, well, look, do this for me. Tell him I stopped by and I will be back. I left. That's Thursday. Now we get to Friday. I call up. This is Baruti Kafelle. Let me tell you something, miss. I'm going to be calling you every day until I speak to this man because I'm going to be a principal. So she said, can you come in at Monday at 1 o'clock? I'll be there at 1 o'clock. Now, you know to be on time is to be late. I got there 12:30. I'm sitting there waiting in the reception area. He calls me in. Say, how you doing, sir? What's your name, sir? Oh, my name is Principal Kafelle. Principal? Where you a principal at? In my mind. What do you mean? I mean, I want to be a principal, sir. Just give me a shot. You got your master's degree? No, sir. You got any kind of credentials? No, sir. Then why are you here? I just got to let you know that if you give me a shot, I'm going to make the school #1 in the district. You just got to give me an opportunity. He said, okay, go get your master's and come back and see me. I come back a year later. I got it. That man made me a vice principal for 1 year and made me the principal the very next year. I said, now watch me work. See, God was all in this thing. I had a 1 point something, remember? Remember in high school, I had a 1 point something. Remember the guidance counselor, you'll never be anything. Remember? So then I went to work. Year 3, school #1 in New Jersey of schools with similar demographics, meaning schools that are African-American majority population, #1 in New Jersey. Don't tell me black children can't learn. Don't tell me black children can't soar. Don't tell me that black men can't get it done. I'm getting ready to sit down, but let me close this story out. It's kind of dangling in the air. I got to close it. Listen, I'm working this thing for 14